Hello and welcome to another video on the channel. Today, MLS Week 3 is upon us. We have a preview for you guys. We are also going to be taking a look at some good matchups and bad matchups. And then I have a couple news and notes just to keep you on your toes a little bit. Make sure you're up to date with the latest information that I know as far as who is going to be starting and who is not. So let's get into it. We have a lot to cover today. First off, we are going to get into some matchups. So, New York Red Bulls against the Chicago Fire. New York's goalkeeper is not a so rare card, so don't need to worry about that one. However, Bobby Shuttleworth, a little bit of a tougher matchup. New York likes to press, which means they get easy chances, which means they get goals without taking a whole lot of shots. So it's very difficult to rack up a lot of saves against the New York Red Bulls. They really just score goals. So tough to be a goalkeeper against them. They don't tend to allow a very high score against them. Next up is RSL and Sporting Kansas City. Rusnak, Krylak, Ruiz, and Everton Luiz have tough matchups for RSL. Sporting Kansas City, just a pretty good team overall. Columbus. Now, one note with Columbus, you can see Jonathan Mensah here is listed as a good starter. Now, Mensah potentially may not play in this game. He was scratched from their Wednesday Champions League game. And they said he had a tight hamstring. Tough to know if he's going to be able to come back from that in one midweek. But potentially, if he does come back, we could see him on a good matchup. Milton Valenzuela, Perry Kitchen, Lucas Celeron, and Darlington Nagbe are the others on good matchups. Kitchen and Nagbe, I would expect one to play kind of the same position. Whichever one starts should have a chance at a pretty decent matchup. But I think if Nagbe plays, he's the one that you want to go with. He's the eventual starter. Perry Kitchen's been starting there in the interim since Nagbe's been hurt, though. One other note on Lucas Celeron, since I don't do a preview video for the midweek games, he will be suspended next midweek for their Champions League game. Keep that in mind, means he's probably going to start this week, but he will not be available for you even though Columbus does have a game. Do not start him midweek next week. Kamal Miller, Rudy Camacho, and another one of my favorite guys, Georgi Mihailovic, all have tough matchups this week. I do like Mihailovic over the long term. Unfortunately, against the defending champs, a little bit of a tougher matchup. Houston against LAFC. We like Pablo Cisnega. He's really come on. They cut Kenneth Vermeer, really showing a lot of confidence in Cisnega. So we like the matchup here against Houston. Also, Eddie Segura and any other LAFC defender that you want to start realistically. But Eddie Segura is the one that I feel the most confident about. So I'm going to put him in here for now. Next up is Atlanta against New England Revolution. Now, this one will be a difficult one for the Atlanta forwards. New England does not tend to give up a lot. They tend to keep you under pressure. So it's very difficult to rack up good attacking numbers against them. Damian Moreno may be the guy who takes the brunt of the blow here for Atlanta. But another guy to keep in mind is Joseph Martinez. Now, he did start midweek. I expect him to probably play some sort of a sub role this week, maybe 30 minutes off the bench just to keep him fresh. They're going to need 3 goals going back to Philadelphia, so I assume that they're going to try and win that game and go for their best starting lineup that they possibly can. With Martinez still working back from injuries, he's a really good candidate to be a guy that gets a rotation today, or not today, on this weekend against New England, so he may not go the full 90. If he does start, he may only play like 60 minutes or so. Orlando against Cincinnati. Now, obviously, start your Cincinnati guys start your Orlando guys in this game. Always fade Cincinnati. Pedro Galese and then Nani and Junior Urso. Nani is on fire. Cincinnati cannot defend a set piece, and Nani takes all the set pieces. So I love Nani this week. Might be my absolute number one player. I absolutely love the matchup for him. He's been hot. He's been good. He's got talent around him, and he's going up against the Cincinnati team that just got their teeth kicked in against NYC. Vasquez and Kubo could have tough matchups against Orlando's defense for Cincinnati. In the next game, Philadelphia at NYCFC. Speaking of that NYC and Cincinnati game, if you haven't seen the highlights of Sean Johnson stopping some point-blank shots from Cincinnati, Cincinnati should have easily had at least 2 goals in this game, and Sean Johnson kept them out. A shutout completely, which was incredible. So that 5-0 scoreline is a bit deceiving because it could have easily been 3-2. But Sean Johnson had a heck of a game. He's got another nice matchup coming against NYCFC. Tough matchups all the way around, though, on the other side. Anton Tennerholm, Keaton Parks, Ismail Tajuri Shradi, Maxi Morales, Jesus Medina, Maxime Chenot, and Jacob Glasnes, all with difficult matchups going up against either Philly or New York City. Glasnes, the only Philadelphia man who starts. Again, keep in mind, Philadelphia played that Champions League. They may have some rotation as well. They have the 3-0 lead, but I don't expect them to sit on their laurels against Atlanta United. Atlanta can score quickly, and if Atlanta gets 4 goals, that would be the away goal tiebreaker. So Philadelphia is going to have to play their starters in the midweek. Next up, we're on the Jeff Antonella train. Stevie Clark is hurt. We don't expect him back until at least the end of May. So for now, it's Jeff Antonella, and it's a wonderful matchup against Dallas and an inept offense that they have. Also, want to be keeping an eye on the Portland defenders. That would be Jose Carlos Van Rankin and Dario Suparic. For Austin and Minnesota, we like the matchup for Chase Gaspar, Jan Gregus, Will Trapp, Michael Boxall. Again, with Austin, it's tough to say with Austin. They're technically going to be a poor matchup in every category. It's only because they have a smaller sample size. They've only played 2 games. One of them was against LAFC. So again, just keep that in mind as we move forward. Yes, Minnesota has a good matchup. You should probably still start your Minnesota players. But Austin, again, it's tough to tell how good they really are right now. They showed some signs of life last week against Colorado, so good for them. I really hope that they can keep that kind of going. Next up, San Jose and DC United. So this could be an interesting game. Both of these teams are going to want to press. Both of these teams are going to want to turn you over up the field. I expect to see some goals in this game just because, I don't know, DC United has played so cagey and they have so many injuries that they've tried to play more defensive than I think what Hernan Lozado really wants to. But San Jose is going to force them to play offensively. If they try and play defensively, I think it's going to be a disaster for DC. I would look for San Jose's forwards to really get some good chances. Cade Cowell, Carlos Fierro, Christian Espinosa, all good starts. I do like Carlos Fierro if he can be the starter long term. Obviously, no Chris Wondolowski this week on a red card from last week, so he will be suspended to miss this matchup. But good matchup for San Jose's forwards. On the flip side, bad matchup for the defenses. Goalkeepers for DC United and defense, as well as San Jose's goalkeeper and a midfield. Could be a tough week for Jackson Ewell, Chris Seitz, Freddie Briand, and James Marcinkowski. Seitz and Briand. I really don't think Briand's going to have a good game because this is going to be a very up-tempo, fast, one-on-one type of game. And Briand is much better when he sees the field in front of him. When he has to play one-on-one, it gets a little dicey. He doesn't have the speed. He's 35 years old. He's good in the air, but he does not have the speed to play one-on-one. I think he could definitely get burned. He's a guy that I could see conceding a mistake that leads to a goal and crushing his score. Next one, Nashville Miami. No real matchups either way here. Obviously, I do like Nashville's defense, but they haven't played well the last couple of weeks. They've been giving up goals early on. If they can stop giving up goals early on, Nashville's defense is a great play, but Miami's going to look to take advantage of that. Seattle against LA Galaxy. Now, this is another one. Seattle had that crazy run through MLS Cup, so they have a lot of really, really good statistics. However, we expect to see LA Galaxy struggle anyway. I don't think LA Galaxy is really all that good outside of a couple players. The 3 players I highlighted here, Sasha Kljestan, Jorge Villafana, and Nick Depay, I really don't expect to see them doing a lot well, especially Villafana. He's really struggled coming to LA Galaxy from the Portland Timbers. On the flip side, Seattle has a decent matchup. LA Galaxy have been shipping goals left and right, so midfields and forwards start them if you got them. Will Bruin, Alex Roldan's had a really nice season so far. He has taken over the starting job. Christian Roldan, his brother, and João Paulo. Now, one thing with Paulo, you see down here, I have Nick Ladero highlighted in the notes. João Paulo may not be on set pieces once Nick Ladero comes back, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. He has been racking up some points from that, so maybe a slight downtick, but we still overall like the matchup against LA Galaxy. Lastly, Vancouver against Colorado. Jack Price is another player I really like. He takes their set pieces as well. He is also very involved defensively. He gets back, he tackles, has a lot of dual wins. And then Andre Shinyashiki as well. He's had a really nice start to the season, so we'll look to see if he can keep that going against Vancouver. Vancouver have been pretty stingy on defense, so potentially not much going forward. Either way, this might be a lower scoring game, but a potential to win some duels. Maybe the defenders get some shutout bonuses in this one as well. Some quick notes, just some things to keep in mind here. So Titi Castellanos, there's a report coming out of New York City that says he's trying to force a move to Palmeiras, and he is considering sitting out. He's considering holding out and not playing for them. That would be a big story for them. He's a very good scorer. First of all, and so rare, he's just a good card to have. But also for New York City as a whole, the forward position is not one that they're deep in. He is basically the only player. They'd have to come up with some other solution. But long term, I think it's time to hit the panic button on Castellanos. If he does, even if he does end up playing the next couple of weeks, I think at the very latest, by the end of May, he wants out. Palmeiras is going to get him at some point. I think NYC is just trying to hold on until they can get to the transfer window and get a forward. That would open up at the end of May, so it would make a lot of sense for them to ship him out at that point. If I'm not mistaken, Brazil is not one of the leagues covered in Sorare at this point. So if he does move to Brazil, you would not be able to get any scoring from him. Might be a good time to move on from him if you do have him. One other note, I did mention Ladera before. He could get some time in this game. He will get some time in this game according to the reports. We're not sure if it's going to be a sub appearance or maybe as a starter. I would assume something like a 30-minute sub just to kind of get his legs under him, get him back to match fitness, but definitely one to watch moving forward. Ladero is a very good scorer in Sorare. So when he comes back, it's going to be helping out a lot of people with a very nice card. Lastly, the Champions League. So this is important to just keep in mind if you have guys from these teams. So there's 5 teams in the CONCACAF Champions League right now. That would be Toronto, Portland, Atlanta, Philadelphia, and Columbus. That's who I'm missing. I always forget one of the 5. Toronto is not playing this week, so no need to worry about them. But the other 4 teams that you have, they may be doing some rotation. They played midweek this week. They're going to be playing the second leg next week. They're going to want their full, fresh teams next week. So definitely keep in mind, if you have a starter on one of those teams, don't be shocked, don't be surprised if they come on as a sub at the end of the game. You don't quite get the full amount of points. If you do have some guys from some of these teams, might be a good time to, if you can, find somebody else to kind of replace them. Maybe don't rely on them, don't captain them, that kind of thing. But other than that, I think that's most of the news and notes for this week. I really, really appreciate you guys watching. If you would, please subscribe so that you see when more content comes out. I try to put out at least 2 videos a week, but hopefully it'll be a little bit more as we move forward. I really do appreciate you guys that have reached out to me on Twitter, on Discord as well, giving me some feedback, giving me some helpful tips, things like that. I really do appreciate that, and I welcome that if anybody else has any other ideas to make things more entertaining, more informative, more helpful, really, in any way. Please feel free to reach out to me. Like I said, make sure you subscribe, make sure you hit that like button. It really does help me out as far as YouTube goes as well. Other than that, that's going to be the video for this week. Like I said, I appreciate you guys. Until the next time, Vamos United.